point. Okay, the last thing I will mention, guys, is the balance of payments. The balance of payments is simply a country's bank account. So you and I we all have a bank account. There's payments coming in, payments coming out. And if we think about one country, and if that country had one giant bank account, so it will include the following things: trade for goods and services with other countries, income from other countries, so people receiving countries from outside, payments to other countries. So you're starting to see a pattern here. Everything, all the transactions and flows of money inside and outside with other people. But what's not on the list in the balance of payments is the internal payment. So if we're both living in the USA and I send you $100, this will not show in the calculation. Why? I thought it was the giant bank account. Well, yes, it is the giant bank account. But if that bank account is just one bank account and something happens inside, not outside, in and out of it, just within it, we don't need to count it, right? It just goes to zero, right? So that's why it's all about the transactions with other countries. And that's why you have sometimes a phenomenon called a deficit or a surplus between two countries. Now, I don't know if you were following the news back then, but in 2018, when Donald Trump was the US president, there was the US-China war. And the whole premise of this war, which was a trade war, right? It wasn't fought with weapons. It was an economic war, which was fought simply because the trade deficit between the US and China for decades was simply huge. So it was like this. The deficit on the US side, so this was the US deficit with China on its balance of payments. And what does that mean? People didn't understand, but when you understand what the balance of payment is, now you understand exactly what this means. It means the US was buying lots of stuff from China, right? And the money was not flowing back from China to the US. The US was buying all these, because China was the factor of the world, produces cheap goods, right? Plastic goods, all the stuff on Amazon, essentially 99% of the stuff on Amazon, cheap disposable goods were made in China and were going to the US. Now, the US or Chinese were not buying stuff from the US as much. So that's why we have a deficit. Lots of American money was flowing to China, but not the other way around. And therefore, we had a deficit. And therefore, it was a big political hotbox during that time.